Okay guys, let's be honest. The hammock is the backyard's best friend. And if you don't have one already, then you're in the right spot. Because today, I'm gonna teach you how to build a freestanding hammock. From start to finish, we're going to guide you on your quest to ultimate backyard relaxation. This project should take you about 6 hours to complete and requires a medium skill level. All right, so to kick it off, let's go over all the supplies we're gonna need for today's build. First things first. For this build, you're going to need a lot of stuff. I know that can feel overwhelming, but you can reference this list on our build plans at the link in the video description. For the lumber, you're going to need 5 2x4s and 2 2x12x12s. So now that we've got everything we need, the first step is to measure and start cutting the lumber. You're going to have a lot of cuts to make, and I think it's easiest to go ahead and knock them all out at once. You're going to use a hand saw and a set square for these cuts, or a power saw if you have it. That's what I'm going to be using. Your first cuts will be taking 2 2x4s and cutting each end at a 30-degree angle, making sure that your two ends mirror one another. These will make your base. Next, you're going to take 2 2x4s, cut them exactly in the middle at 30 degrees. Make sure to measure your stock and cut the ends for exact measurements before you do this. This will make your 4 lateral posts for the sides of your hammock. Next, cut 2 8-inch pieces and 2 12-inch pieces from your 2x4. Cut parallel 30-degree angles at the ends of your 8-inch pieces. Up next are the feet and support braces, which you'll cut from your 2x12s. Start by cutting them into 6 4-foot sections. From there, you're going to make an arc with a 42-inch radius. To do this, I placed a set screw into a piece of scrap lumber centered 42 inches from the top of my 4-foot section. By hooking my measuring tape to the set screw and holding my pencil at the 42-inch mark, I was able to trace a perfect arc in my wood stock. I then made a 3.5-inch mark down from my first arc and repeated the process. The end result of this was 2 matching arches perfectly spaced apart. Once you've got those drawn, cut along these lines to create a curved foot for your hammock stand. So our plans call for using a jigsaw, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you what that's gonna look like. But if you've got access to a bandsaw, I would highly recommend it because you get much faster and cleaner cuts. Well, we've got one. In my experience, I found it easiest to go ahead and cut this out and then use it as a template for the remaining 5. That took longer than the line at the DMV. So to speed things up, we're gonna jump over to the bandsaw and finish up over here. For more rigidity, we're gonna make the feet twice as thick. If you're using a jigsaw, you're gonna have to cut each individually, then glue and screw the pieces together. But since I have a bandsaw, I'm gonna go do things a little bit differently. To get the most seamless alignment, I'm going to stack 2 of the 4-foot sections on top of each other, go ahead and glue and screw them together, and then cut them as one. And as an added perk, it's twice as fast. Okay, that completes all the cuts for this project. Once you've got all that done, make sure you sand everything down for a nice, smooth finish. So now that we have all our pieces cut and sanded, it's time to move on to assembly. We'll do that by laying out part of our structure on a flat surface. Okay, this is gonna be a mouthful, but I'm gonna try to get through it. Start by aligning one of your base pieces with the 2 lateral posts, one on each end. Make sure that your longer side of your base is facing up and that the lateral posts are touching your base, but not overlapping. From there, place 2 12-inch cuts on top of the lateral posts and then 2 12-inch cuts overlapping where the base and lateral posts meet. Finally, place your curved supports. Once you've got all that laid out, you're gonna wanna clamp it together and then move on to the next stage, drilling the holes for the hex bolts. Start by drilling 2 holes through the 12-inch pieces and lateral posts. Drill 1 hole through each end of the curved supports and 2 holes through each of the 8-inch cuts. As you're drilling, be sure to keep the drill as straight as possible as the bolts will have to pass through later. Once you've done all of that, Separate the pieces, align the base and lateral posts with their matching counterparts, and clamp them together as a guide to drill matching holes. All right, it's been a process so far, but all the drilling is done. Now it's time to move on to threading the bolts and putting this thing together. Getting those bolts through was a real pain in the butt. Even though our alignment was really close, it's never gonna be perfect, and that's okay. Because of that, I found it easiest to work the bolt through one layer at a time and use a hammer for some added force. I also waited to place the curved supports to last and even had to re-drill a hole or two. All right, this thing's looking great. It's still looking great. We just need to add the feet. To create the notch for the hammock to sit in, we're going to cut a section from the middle of the feet, exactly the width of the base, 4.5 inches. Once you've got that done, all that's left is assembling and screwing them together. As you can see, this is a tad bit challenging for one person, but it's not impossible. These feet are going to be a tight fit, and you want it that way. But by throwing a temper tantrum on top, I was able to force the base into its final home. Okay, we're on the home stretch now. We finally got the structure built, and the last thing to do is mount our hardware and then get this hammock hung. Well, I can definitely build things, but it looks like tying up a hammock may be my kryptonite. Make sure you get this thing real nice and tight. I'm very glad I eased into it. All right. And if you want to finish this project the right way, be sure to check out YellaWood for their Protector line of stains and sealers.